Hi there, it's Tom from Blacktoe Studio, and it's time for another battle report. We're doing 2,000 points this time, and we finally got the Black Templars back on the field. So this is a single battalion, and let's have a look at what's in it. So we'll start off with some HQ choices, which are all nicely clustered down the middle here. We have a Chaplain with Jump Pack and Crosium, and we have a Terminator Chaplain, and we have a Primaris Captain with Relic Shield and Mastercrafted Power Sword. The Warlord for the army is this Chaplain here, who has been upgraded to a Master of Sanctity. He also has the Benediction of Fury Crosium. He has Litany of Divine Protection, Fires of Devotion, and also he has taken the Wise Orator Warlord trait. Then the other ones are armed as they are shown. The only difference is this Chaplain here has taken Fires of Devotion as his litany. Now, into the troop section. We have 4 troop choices, and that consists of 4 squads of Primaris Assault Intercessors, all armed as standard, no upgrades, just a chainsword, heavy bolt pistol, nice and simple. So 4 of them. We then move on into let's do an elite over here. We have a Relic Leviathan Dreadnought with a Siege Claw, a single Storm Cannon, and a Hunter Killer Missile upgrades. Obviously, it comes with flamers. Other elite choices consist of a 5-man Terminator Assault Squad, all with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields, and then the final elite choices are the Blade Guard veterans here, ×4, and then a Primaris Apothecary here to probably give them some assistance in staying alive. Those particular units, so the Blade Guard veterans and the Apothecary here, will probably be riding in this Impulsor. Probably along with the Primaris Captain as well, because it's got a 6-man capacity, so we may as well utilise that. And then we'll go into some fast attack choices. We have 2 squads of 3 Outriders. These guys literally got painted the other day, so there will be a video on them coming up shortly. And then the final part of this list is over here, which is this Predator Vindicator Destroyer. Predator Vindicator Destroyer, how about just a Vindicator Laser Destroyer, which is one of the 4-drop models. That is the final part of that list. No other upgrades really to speak of, so that is the 2,000 points of Black Templars. And now we'll see what Daryl has bought for his Deathguard. And this is Daryl's Deathguard army. We have 2 detachments here. We have a Vanguard and an Outrider detachment. And we're going to go with the Outrider on the left first, I think, Daryl. So, okay. Who is your HQ for over here?
So over here it is a Demon Prince, and he is my Warlord today.
Okay.
He is armed with a Demonic Axe, wings, he's got the hulking physique, and he's also got Quintessent Vitality.
Okay.
I gave him the Relic, a Suppurating Plate as well, so he's got 2+.
Fairly durable then. Yes.
That's the aim.
Okay.
I've then got a troop choice, just some Plague Marines. The
Nice.
only upgrade is that the champion of the unit has a Demonic Plague Blade.
Okay. And
Moving on to the Pox Walkers, just 20 standard Pox Walkers.
perfect. Okay.
And then the fast attack units that make this the Outrider, I've got 3 Greater Blight Drones.
These ones up on the ruin here, slightly different models, these are the 4-drop ones obviously. So.
And then 3 Fetid Bloat Drones.
Yep.
And they are armed exactly the same with just the Plague Splinters.
Perfect. And then we'll move over to the Vanguard attachment, which is over here on the right.
Okay, so in the Vanguard I have a Lord of Contagion as the HQ for this.
Okay.
He's got the Acidic Malady on his weapon.
Nice.
And he's accompanied by a Death Shroud unit, which has got the chimes to increase the contagion range.
Perfect.
And then over here, I've got a Plague Surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And behind them, I always get the name of this one mixed up.
Blightbringer.
Blightbringer, that's
Yep.
it.
It's got a ringer in it.
Yeah, that's it. And a Deathguard Hellbrute with a twin-linked Heavy Bolter.
That's not a Hellbrute, that's a Dreadnought, Daryl.
Dun dun dun. And then just another 20 Poxbringers. I can't forget this guy. Of course, my Plague Burst Crawler.
Plague Burst Crawler,
with
nice.
the Entropy Cannons and a Rot Hail gun as well.
So obviously, for those of you who watch my Deathguard army, this is very different in composition, so it should be interesting to see how this plays against the Templars. But anyway, we'll be right back in a minute with the deployment and mission. Tom from Blacktoe Studio, and here is the deployment, objective and twist for this open war mission that we are going to be doing today. So we have the prize. So in a nutshell, obviously feel free to read the card if you can. However, It all centres around a centralised objective which can be picked up and moved onto a unit, and that unit obviously carries it until it dies or drops it, and the winner is the person who's carrying it at the end of the 5th battle round. Otherwise the player controlling the objective marker at the end of the 5th battle round is the winner, failing that the battle is a draw. We then have the twist of Indiscriminate Projectiles, which is basically you roll 3d6 at the start of their turns, and for each roll of a 6 they can then select one enemy unit on the battlefield to inflict d3 mortal wounds upon it, or 1 mortal wound if that unit is a character with a wounds characteristic of less than 10. And each unit apparently can be selected no more than once per turn, so that's fairly simple. But we'll get the models on the board and then we'll come back to see who gets the first turn. Okay, so both the armies are deployed and here is the battlefield. Obviously we have the objective marker in the middle here, or as near the middle as we could get it. Obviously when it's picked up it's not actually on the board, it's possessed by the unit that's picked it up. So we have the Black Templars on this side, we got some Outriders, Impulsor with the Chaplain next to it. We then have some squads of Intercessors ready to charge up the front, Dreadnought, Vindicator and the other squad of Outriders. In the Impulsor we have a Primaris Apothecary, 4 Blade Guard and the Primaris Captain with shield and sword. And as we roll over to this side of the board, the smelly forces of Nurgle have taken up position over here. So we have some Pox Walkers, we've got some drones, we have a Dreadnought or Hellbrute. Some more of the drones here with the Demon Prince hiding in between them. And then obviously Pox Walkers, Marines, Plague Surgeon, Blightbringer, the Plague Burst Crawler. And yeah, so pretty nicely laid out. And at the moment, obviously, we have to roll off to see who goes first. So I'm going to come over here with Daryl, and we'll just do it on the edge over here. So here we go. This is a Black Templar roll. A 5 versus 3, so it will be Black Templars turn 1 coming up. Okay, turn 1 movement for the Black Templars, and over here we've had the Outriders advance, the Impulsor advance, and the Chaplain advance here. So they've all moved up this left-hand side of the board, hopefully ready to sweep in and or survive the amount of shots that are coming from there. We also had all the Assault Intercessors advance. One of them managed to get a 12-inch movement up here, so they've just got onto the edge of the platform here, ready to hopefully try and pick that up next turn if they're still there. We'll see how bad the Deathguard of retaliation is shortly. This Outrider squad is just shot around the side here, moving up the right-hand side of the board. And then we had the Vindicator has stayed still, however the Dreadnought has moved up just behind the Assault Intercessors. Also, for the twist, obviously we had to roll 3d6. Any 6s you got to put mortal wounds onto enemy units. However, I rolled 3 dice and I didn't get a single 6, so nothing happened there, just for those who were wondering. So that is the end of turn 1 movement for the Black Templars. We're going to go on and do a wee bit of shooting. So starting off with this Dreadnought, who is going to fire its Storm Cannon, which is just in range, into the Pox Walkers up the field there. Okay, so we have 8 shots coming in from the Storm Cannon on the Dreadnought into the Pox Walkers. We're looking for 3s to hit. That doesn't look too good. Let's take away. And then we're looking for 3s to wound, because they are toughness 4. 3 wounds.
Okay.
And you don't get a save, Dale, so you're just going to have your feel up with this. And they do, I think this is 2 damage each.
Okay. Well, obviously, they've only got 1 wound each.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a 6 up. Do they ignore the wound? And the answer is no. So that's 3
dead.
Absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Pop, pop, pop.
Well, actually, I think you would have to roll that twice, because obviously I did 2 wounds per model.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because you failed 3 times. So we'll just
fail 3 times.
So we'll just say they're dead. We'll say they're dead. So yeah, that's that one done. Back in a moment with the next round of shooting. And next up, we have the Vindicator Laser Destroyer firing at the Plague Burst Crawler all the way on the backfield over there. Okay, so here comes the shots. So we have 3 shots coming in from the Vindicator Destroyer. We're looking for 3s. We get 2 hits, and we're looking for 3s again. And that's 2 at -4, but Daryl does have an invulnerable, I believe.
Indeed, I do. Both failed.
So that's 10 damage.
Oof.
Because you got -1 from each shot.
Indeed.
So
got 2 wounds left.
2 wounds left. Oh, if only I had some more guns. Right back in a minute with the rest of the turn. Well, that actually does conclude the shooting phase and also the turn for the Black Templars, because I didn't have a lot of long-range shooting in this army, to be fair. So we're going to mosey on over to Deathguard turn 1. And let's see how their first turn goes in comparison. Back in a moment. Okay, so first of all, before we go to the movement, Daryl rolled for the kind of bombardment that's happening. He actually got it on this Outrider unit. and I actually rolled both my mortal saves, so they're safe. However, not quite the same on the unit over here. This one took a mortal wound in the end from one of the dice. Movement-wise, however, we have had pretty much all the drones to move forward, haven't we?
The fetid drones did advance.
They did. The fetid ones did. So that's the standard Games Workshop ones, obviously. So that's these three here. Because they've all got assault weapons anyway, I believe.
That's it.
Obviously, Demon Prince is shuffled up here behind the fortification, hiding himself nicely. Because obviously he is targetable if he's not within range or something, but he is no longer in sight at the moment. So we've got the larger bloke drones here. The greater ones have moved up normally, backed up by some advancing Pox Walkers and a Hellbrute. I think there's a general move across the line here. The only unit actually advancing was the Pox Walkers, and obviously I think the damaged Plague Squad is elected to stay still because there's not really anywhere it can go very quickly. So that is movement done. Let's head on into Psychic and Shooting. Okay, so next up for shooting is this fetid bloke drone. It's just going to fire its spitters into the squad that is just hiding in front of the Dreadnought here of the Assault Intercessors. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so on his roll for number of hits is 6, correct? Yeah,
absolutely.
So 6 hits, and your strength is
6.
6. So you're wounding on 3s.
Indeed, and they automatically hit. So I'm going straight to wounding.
Yes.
So here we go.
So 3.
That's 3.
At
Exactly
minus
50%. Minus 1 damage.
Okay, so not too bad. Oh, okay, so we lose 1, and 1's on 1 wound. Next up. Next shot is coming from this fetid bloke drone into the same squad. Let's see what happens here. Daryl has hit 10 times because there's no roll to hit here, so here comes 10 wounds, needing 3s.
3s indeed.
Oh dear. That doesn't look too good.
So that'd be 8.
So we need 8 saves here on a 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's 4. So we failed another 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds in total. So 1 was already on 1 wound, so that loses him. Then another 1 dies, and 1 is on 1 wound. So that is left with 1.5 Marines left in there. We saw the shooting from these 2 fetid bloke drones a second ago. However, for the rest of the shooting, we had this drone fire into the Outriders over... Oh no, sorry, actually into the Assault Intercessors over here, or the remaining ones, and he's managed to take him down to 1/2 model now. And then we swing over to this side where there was a bit more pain induced. We had this Outrider squad over this side, which was full strength. I had to put transhuman physiology on it because it took shots from both these drones, the Hellbrute, and yeah, that pretty much decimated them down to 1 full strength model. On the top here, we had lots of shots come into the Assault Intercessor squad up here, leaving them on 1.5 Marines. That was basically for some bolt gun shots. I think it was this chap here. This drone shot in and yeah, taking down. So some pretty nice shooting from the Deathguard. However, I think Daryl does have some charges coming up, so we'll be right back in a minute with the assault phase in turn 1 for Deathguard. Okay, so we wrapped up the assault phase because it was fairly one-sided in this particular respect. So the Demon Prince, as expected, finished off the remaining 2 assault intercessors without any reply. Then over here, one of the drones charged the bike and the impulsor. Well, this one charged just the impulsor. Only damage was done to the bike by 1 wound there. I fought back and didn't do anything back to him either. So at the moment, no one holds the objective. In fact, I don't think the Demon Prince can even pick it up because it's not classed as infantry. So at the moment, no one has the upper hand other than the fact that Daryl killed a few things. So we're now going to head on into turn 2 for the Black Templars. Okay, so here we are, turn 2 movement for the Black Templars. We've had quite a lot of stuff done here, so obviously the impulsor stayed still and so did this bike. However, the apothecary got out and at the end of its movement phase healed one of them. Oh, I should state also he's a chief apothecary as well, so he can heal twice. However, he also used combat revival stratagem to bring back one of the outriders as well. So we're now back up to just over half strength, which is nice. Terminators dropped in here with the chaplain just to lend a bit of strength because there's a lot of drones over here to deal with, and I didn't feel that confident with just having the Blade Guard veterans here with the Pox Walkers and a Hellbrute coming in behind. So they've all dropped in there at the end of the movement phase, and these guys obviously got out, so they can charge because we didn't move the impulsor before we moved them in this particular case. Assault Intercessors have jumped up on top here, ready to try and slow the Demon Prince down. We'll see. However, the Master Sanctity has also jumped up here, ready to smack him in the head with the Crosium. I don't know how well that's going to go. It might have been a bad decision, we will see. Moving over to this side of the board, we had this Outrider unit skip round the edge here, ready to assist the Dreadnought and hopefully taking these drones out. It's going to be quite tough, I think. I think the Dreadnought will be alright. I don't know about the Outriders. We will see. Anyway, that is movement done. So let's head on into shooting. Okay, so that's the shooting phase concluded in turn 2 for the Templars. Just to give you a quick overview of what happened here, we had the Impulsor fire into this drone here, but didn't do anything. We had all of the Assault Intercessors over here fire into Demon Prince, and we took 1 wound away. And then onto this side of the battlefield, we had this Vindicator fire into the greater drone that was here. Unfortunately, he died with maximum wounding on him, which was quite a nice couple of shots. I did use 1 command point though to re-roll one of the hits, which failed, but I still had 2 already, so not too bad. We had the Leviathan here fire all of its shots into the Fetid Bloat Drone here and managing to kill it when it got to the Flamers, which is quite nice. However, obviously still got 1 left to deal with. Daryl didn't make it explode though, which was quite nice. I think it was basically the mortal wounding wasn't that tempting because obviously Templars do get a save against mortal wounds. So Bikers fired all of their bolters into the Pox Walkers here, and we took out I think 3 or 4.
3 in total.
3 in total, fine. And that's pretty much it for the shooting phase. So we're going to rock on into the combat phase, and let's see if we can get rid of some more of these annoying floating drones. Okay, so at the end of the combat phase for the Black Templars over here, this Dreadnought made it in. Had a vaguely successful amount of combat, however only took it down to 5 wounds, that drone, so not too bad. In the middle here, well, the first attack I did was actually with the Chaplain, and he failed to do anything but 1 wound. Did he even do a wound?
He did.
He did 1 wound.
Physique gives him
yes,
an extra wound.
He got 1 wound. However, Daryl then interrupted and completely, essentially, just chopped the heads off every single intercessor up there very easily, very painfully. So the Chaplain here is on his own at the moment. This could be quite painful for him, we shall see. Over here we had some pretty good success. The Thunderhammer Terminators charged into the drone, killed it off fairly easily. Blade Guard Veterans, on the other hand, had a bit more trouble chipping away the greater bloat drone. It's just a bit tougher to kill, especially with only damage 2 weapons, which were reduced to 1, obviously, because of the Deathguard rules. So that's down to 8. This one is also down to 8 after the Outriders managed to kind of go in and just take off a wound or 2. Other than that, there wasn't really much else that went on. That was pretty much it. So we're going to obviously conclude this turn 2 for the Black Templars and move on to turn 2 for the Deathguard. So just to let you know, Daryl did put Dead Walk again on this Pox Walker unit and brought back 5. So pretty nice. So they're a little bit more back up to full strength. And then we had the massive retreat of the Deathguard, which was this boat drone going backwards. These 2 greater drones going backwards. But then that was then countered by the Pox Walkers and the Hellbrute there moving towards their quarries. We then had an advance from this Plague Marine squad along with the Blightbringer and the Plague Surgeon moving up. Obviously this is the hot area that needs to be taken over. And on the grounds that Daryl has managed to chew through 15 of my Assault Intercessors already. That's looking a bit dicey for me unless I can get this lot involved. Yes, that pretty much did that. And then at the back of the board, all the way over here, we have had the I'm trying to remember what they're called now. The Death Shrouds, that's the one. Death Shrouds and the Lord of Contagion drop in on the back line here. Obviously staying 9 inches away from these guys at the back. However, this could be quite a nice little fight going on this side of the board. We will see probably by the end of this turn. So, that concludes movement for the Deathguard. We're now going to head on into the shooting phase and some psychic, I'm going to presume, as well. Okay, so at the end of the Deathguard shooting phase, first of all, we did have a psychic attempt as well over here for some smite, which I denied using Abel the Witch or the stratagem, so that didn't go off. However, we had the Plague Burst Crawler here fire into the Dreadnought here, taking it down to 8 wounds, and on top of that, it also fired on the Assault Intercessor here, taking them down to 3 remaining models. So I'm running out of Assault Intercessors, quite frankly. We also had the Fetid Bloat Drone fire into this squad of Outriders, taking one of them down to 1 wound remaining. And then we kind of joined the action on this side of the table, where we had the Gauntlets here fire into the Chaplain. They actually hit, I think it was 8 times. I managed to save all but 1, so one of them did take a wound, and I wasn't in range of the Apothecary here to take advantage of his 6-up ignore. We had an Outrider here go down from the Hellbrute, if I remember correctly. I think it was the Heavy Bolter there that finished him off, and 1 drone. And then also the other drone fired into the Blade Guard here, taking one of their number down to 1 wound remaining. Apologies for my voice. Just let you guys know, I had my vaccine this morning and I'm starting to feel some effects right now which are not agreeing with me, but we're going to obviously try and finish this game out and see how we get on. So apologies if I found a little bit off. So that...
Promise it's not the Deathguard.
It's not the Deathguard. The Deathguard have had no effect on me whatsoever because we are too...
resistant.
Too resistant, as although Contagion's about to go up this round, so it might get worse. So anyway, that's the end of turn 2 Deathguard Psychic and Shooting. We've got some combat coming up, so we'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so Deathguard turn 2 combat. Daryl did put Mutant Strain and Wrathful Dead on here, so basically that allowed unmodified rolls of 6s to hit to cause a mortal wound to the target in addition to any normal damage. However, it did also work on the reverse, so on a 1 it would inflict mortal wound to them. However, the Wrathful Dead lets him re-roll all attacks, so he was able to re-roll any of those 1s and convert them into hits. It was quite painful for the bikers. They lost 2, and if you take that into wounds calculation, that's actually 8 wounds they managed to do to those 2 bikers. So, and he hit back and killed 1.
Got some Pox Walkers.
He got some Pox Walkers. So yes, not brilliant over there. And again, it kind of went from bad to worse for the Templars over here. So obviously at the back with the drop-in of the Death Shroud and the Lord of Contagion, Daryl managed to get into the Apothecary and the Chaplain at the back here and kill both of them with, well, relative ease. Along with the Demon Prince up here, finishing off my Chaplain as well. He did manage to wound him before he died, but unfortunately... that was a waste of 2 command points as well down here to interrupt, but hey-ho. That is basically all of the combat, apart from over here there was another Pox Walker thing here. I don't think you actually did anything in the end. I managed to kill 1 though, so it's 1-0 to the biker. Whether that it helps or not, I don't know. We've got to deal with all this over here now, plus we need to get up on here to get this bloody objective. And the other problem is obviously the Plague Marines here are just about to come up here, and I don't really have a lot of troops left. And it has to be an infantry unit that takes that objective. So while the Demon Prince is on that hill, there's not a lot of hope. However, that is the end of Deathguard turn 2. We're now going to head into Black Templars turn 3, and we're going to watch how they suddenly turn the tides of battle. Okay, here we go. Turn 3 for the Black Templars. Movement has finished. We have the Impulsor break combat and move himself to basically in between all of these units here. It just means it has to force a move to sort of get line of sight. Also on top of that, we had the Blade Guard veterans turn around, elected to deal with the Death Shroud Terminators first because although the Lord of Contagion is quite nasty, there's 3 of them, only 1 of him. The captain has moved himself over here to get himself in reroll ranges for the Terminators and the Blade Guard veterans because the Terminators did use Emperor's Will so they could advance and charge just to make sure they got up on top of this platform and still get into combat. The Assault Intercessors have also joined in here with an advanced move, so they can't charge, but they are just there to hopefully pick the objective up next turn. We shall see. However, the Leviathan Dreadnought has come around the corner because we do need to deal with these Plague Marines because they will be rather painful if they manage to get on top of the fortification and if we haven't finished the Doom Prince off. I'm hoping to do that, obviously. The Vindicator Destroyer decides to stay still because there's plenty of targets over here and over here that he can shoot at. And if he stays still, he has a much better chance of actually killing things with his overcharged profile. So, that is movement for the Black Templars. Now on to shooting. Okay, so we finished shooting in turn 3 for the Templars. Did not quite go to plan. We overcharged the gun here into the light drone, and Daryl saved all of the attacks on his 5 invulnerable.
Well, it gets even worse. Tom first of all rolled.
Oh, sorry, yes.
1-1-2.
1-1-2 to hit, and I used a command point to re-roll 1, yes.
That's right, and then you got 1 through.
Yep.
Which I did unfortunately
save. And then unfortunately I also had 3 Hunter Killers on this Leviathan Dreadnought here, so I elected to fire the Hunter Killers and the Multi-Melter in the fist at this. We didn't do anything to that either because
again,
Nurgle protects apparently. However, we then thought, we got some heavy flamers and a storm cannon. They should take out a few of these Plague Marines. We took out 1, and that was very lucky as well because the flamer did basically nothing.
All these dice have been
they have been very bad this particular game so far. However, don't worry, there's another downside. No, we also fired all of the heavy bolt pistols here into the Death Shroud, but I wasn't really expecting that to do anything, and it didn't, so which is fair enough. So we're really now going straight into combat. There's quite a lot of combat to do, because up here we've got some Terminators hopefully going to go into the Demon Prince, got the Blade Guard veterans going down here into the Death Shroud, and obviously the Leviathan here is hopefully going to pop in and say hello to the Plague Marines. Anyway, we'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so we've finished turn 3 Templars combat phase. Over here, the Impulsor charged in, took a wound off the... no, he didn't actually. No, you took a wound off me, actually. I did nothing. He is in combat with him. It was mainly to try and make him move in a direction. We did charge the Death Shroud here with the Blade Guard veterans. We took off one of them and took one of them down to 2 wounds. However, he managed to hit back and kill one and almost another one. So not too bad, although there is a lot of contagion over here. The Captain stayed still, mainly because he was trying to give rerolls to one for the both the squads here. So the Terminators and the Blade Guard here. We managed to finish off the Demon Prince fairly easily. He did take a lot of wounds with the Thunderhammers. So there's now nothing on the top there. And also on the plus side, as we move over here, you can see the Dreadnought, although not completely successful, has thinned out that Plague Marine squad down to 1. He did actually take a wound though. That -1 to toughness is actually quite annoying for Dreadnoughts because he went down to toughness 6, which made it a bit easier for the Plague Champion to wound. And we don't talk about here. This ended up with no one dying on either side. And likewise over here, I think we killed 1 on this side. So the bikes are probably going to be there for a while. I don't really want to come out of combat because it means that those Pox Walker bubbles are then viable for tying up units. So anyway, that's the end of this round. We're now going to head on to turn 3 for the Deathguard, and let's see what happens then. Deathguard, turn 3 movement. We have had the Plague Marine down here come out of combat with the Dreadnought, leaving it open to be attacked, obviously. Everything else has kind of moved up towards the objective. We had this drone move round, obviously getting some good firing solutions on the people on the top, although they will be getting a +1 to cover, that's obviously got a cover up there for them. We had the 2 greater blade drones move into the centre down here, obviously putting a bit of pressure on the captain there, but also the Lord of Contagions coming up. And we still got to deal with the Death Shroud, so there's quite a lot milling around here from the Deathguard still. It's still, the game could potentially go either way, in my opinion, at the moment, or it could end up being a dead draw for at this particular stage. So that's the end of movement. We now head on to Psychic and Shooting for Deathguard in turn 3. Right, so the shooting has died down in turn 3 for Deathguard. Down here, the Dreadnought is now on 5 wounds after an overcharged plasma pistol shot from the Lightbringer. Took 2 wounds off him quite nicely. We had a lot of fire come in from here and this Plague Burst Crawler into the, I think it was the Assault Incessors, and we took 1 out in the end. I don't think the placements actually did too much damage in that one. It was mainly the Plague Burst Crawler in the end did most damage. Then we swung over to here. We had both the Greater Light Drones fire into the Terminators. They just about weathered the storm, although one is on 2 wounds. We did lose 2 Terminators out of that, so that was pretty brutal. And then we had the pistols from the Death Shroud absolutely coat one of the Blade Guard veterans in gunk, and he basically just gummed up and couldn't walk and died. So yeah, he's melted. He is melting. We also had Hellbrute fire some shots in here to try and take a Terminator, but didn't actually manage to do anything, sadly. But that was pretty much it, really. So we're going to roll into the combat phase, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some fighting going on here. Getting a bit close now, so let's see what happens in turn 3, Deathguard combat. Turn 3, Deathguard combat round. We had down here no wounds done to the biker. However, we killed a Pox Walker. Over here, the Blightbringer has met an untimely end to a Siege Claw to the face. He did not do any damage back either, did he, sadly?
I thought so.
No. Worth a shot just to try and tie it up.
Now, my captain, on the other hand, had a very bad day.
Yes.
He got cleaved in 2. So he's gone. Shall I just move his dice? He has no fight. He doesn't even have wounds left. So, then over here, this biker is having a very bad day. He's just Pox Walkers are literally climbing all over him, clawing at him, trying to pull him off the saddle. He's down to 1 wound now. He did manage to kill 2, I think, in the end, in return. We don't talk about the Blade Guard. They didn't have a chance. They were just absolutely reaped in 2. So not looking good at the moment. But at the moment, we are going to be in possession of the objective next turn. But we're right back with turn 4 for the Black Templars. Black Templars, turn 4 movement. The Impulsor has moved around this side to assist the Dreadnought in some way. I don't know quite what he's going to do. He's still got some weaponry on there, so he could do some shooting. We then moved the 2 Assault Incessors onto this side of the board because the Terminators have picked up the objective and are now making a move in this direction. They may attempt to assault the bloat drone down there because it's the quickest way off the battlement. We've worked out it's going to be about an 8-inch charge to do that, so we'll obviously get around to that eventually. Because this side of the board is pretty full of threat. So what has also happened is the Vindicator, he hasn't moved, he just turned for cinematic effect. He's going to fire down this lane probably and hopefully take out one of the bloat drones if he gets lucky. And the Dreadnoughts is going to carry on back here because he's not really going to have time to get round to assist on the other side of the table anyway, because his movement's been dropped because he's in the middle bracket. So that's the end of movement. Let's head on into the shooting. Turn 4 shooting for the Templars. Over here we had the Dreadnought fire into the remaining champion with his 2 heavy flamers, managing to get rid of him. However, the Storm Cannon and the Multi-Melter were not enough to deal with the Plague Surgeon somehow. He managed to save himself. He did have some help from the Impulsor, but again, not enough. So he's down to 2 wounds at the moment. I would like to get rid of it. Other than that, there really wasn't much else I could do. We had a couple of shots coming from the pistols up here into this greater bloat drone, taking it down. I think we took 1 wound off with the pistols, actually. Yeah. And then we took 5 off with the Vindicator. So he's now down to...
2. Can you take that down? I don't think I have yet.
Oh, he's down to 3. I think you have.
Should be 2, because he was on 8.
Oh, 6. He's on 8. Pardon me. Yes, we did forget to take 1 off. Sorry. Darryl just noticed that. Very nice of him. Down to 2. I'll do that in a second. Sorry. And then, other than that, there wasn't actually much else shooting to be done. So we're now going to head on to a desperate combat runaway phase, I'm going to call it. Or bravely going towards another enemy when there's one over this side. So, we'll be right back with Templars turn 4 combat. Okay, we have ended turn 4 here. So combat is finished. Fairly successful for me, I think. We had the Dreadnought over here finish off the Plague Surgeon fairly easily. We also had, rather miraculously, the 2 Assault Hunters that leapt over the side, charged onto the Blight drone, and actually managed to kill it. I don't think he passed a single save somehow. That was really, really lucky, and he didn't explode, thank goodness. However, the biker was not so lucky. He got overwhelmed by Pox Walkers. Now they're heading this way. There's only 2 Assault Hunters here, and I think they're going to sell their lives dearly to prevent from over here, where the best thing happened, where the 3 Terminators managed to finish off the Fetid Bloat drone. So they're the ones who are currently in possession of the objective and are moving this way. However, they do have obviously the Plague Burst Crawl over here in range, and they still have all these Pox Walkers here. However, somehow, even though I think Darryl actually hit with about 10 attacks somehow,
crazy lucky.
Yeah, on the Outrider here, managed to survive, and I don't think he killed anyone in return though. Actually, I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So he's but basically, now my mission is to make sure these guys survive somehow. Taking out the 2 drones is probably a big plus side from my point of view, but there's still quite a lot of firepower on the board, so I'm going to have to be a bit careful, and I think Darryl's going to be coming for me because we're heading on to turn 4 now for the Deathguard, and it's turn 5 is the end of this game. Okay, movement has finished for the Deathguard in turn 4. We've had the greater bloke drone here fly around the edge just to get a good bead on these Terminators, obviously in conjunction with that Plague Burst Core. Even though it's injured, there's still a lot of firepower probably going to be coming into these guys. We then, as we swim over the top here, both the Lord of Contagion and the Death Shroud Terminators have made a move this way. I think they all advance, or just the
all advanced?
They've all advanced, and obviously the Pox Walkers just making their way over to annoy some intercessors. However, I think the Dreadnought here is probably going to have the final say in the matter. We will see. So that's movement. Let's head on into shooting. And in fact, I think because this is going to be quite a quick round, we'll do shooting and combat in one phase. Okay, so we've just finished Deathguard turn 4, so we did do the shooting and the combat in one round here, because there wasn't an awful lot left to do time-wise. So basically we had the bloat drone fired in and charged into the Terminators. We also had some combined fire from the Plague Burst called over here. Basically they killed another Terminator off, and they've left one of the Terminators on 1 wound now, so it's getting pretty close for them, and they are the ones carrying the objective. So at the moment, they are still alive, just about. Unfortunately for the assault intercessors down here, as you can see, the Hellbrute and the Pox Walkers both made their charges in, and they were completely wiped off the board fairly easily. However, that does mean that they slowed them down a little bit over there, I suppose, maybe, not too sure. We had another exhilarating fight here between the Outriders, or the Outrider, and the Pox Walkers, resulting in no wounds either side, so not brilliant really. Anyway, that's actually the end of Deathguard turn 4. So now we're heading into the last turn for the Black Templars, and what I need to do now is try and secure the objective by saving the Terminators. So we're going to have to do some interesting things here. So we'll see what happens in turn 5 for the Black Templars. Okay, here we are, turn 5 for Black Templars, end of movement, and we are in the end game here. So here is what we have done. The Terminators have left combat and moved towards the Pox Walkers over this side of the board, and the Outrider has backed out of combat. However, what I have done is moved the Impulse around with the Dreadnought over here, and I'm hoping the combined firepower of both these units will do a good enough job to whittle these guys down, because these guys can't charge this turn because they've just left combat. I've also turned the laser destroyer around to put attention back onto the bloat drone. So we'll see if we can wipe them out. We do have a fair bit of shooting here, so we'll be right back in a minute once all the shooting has been sorted out. At the end of the shooting phase for the Black Templars in turn 5, essentially we had everything over here fire that could into the Pox Walkers here. So we had the Impulsor, we had the Dreadnought, and yeah, actually that's just the Impulsor and Dreadnought, sorry, pardon me. And they took away, I think it was 8 in total, which is not brilliant, but again it's better than having 50 of them there. We then had the Laser Destroyer over this side of the board fire into the rear of the bloat drone. However, we only managed to hit once, but we did take it down to 3 wounds.
I think you also find the multi-melter.
Oh, sorry, the melter gun and the storm cannon into here, and managing to... Actually, sorry, pardon me. Let me recap that slightly more correctly. Is the Laser Destroyer did nothing, and it was actually the Dreadnought, storm cannon, and melter gun that took it down to 3 wounds. I'm sorry, my brain is a little bit fried. I do apologise. I will try and get things right in the next round. Now, combat-wise, I haven't really got any combat I can do apart from the Dreadnought, but I'm going to give it a go. So let's see what happens in turn 5, combat for the Templars. Okay, so at the end of turn 5 for the Templars, we had the Dreadnought make it in. He actually did a fairly good round of combat, but because of the minus to damage, the bloat drone is still on 1 wound, and he didn't do anything back to me, luckily, so not too bad. The Pox Walkers took a fair old beating. Killed one from the Impulsor. However, they also took a wound off the Impulsor somehow, because apparently their wet fists are much more affecting the anti-grav. That's my theory anyway. That's all I can think that they can do it. So that's actually the end of turn 5 for the Black Templars. Now, interesting thing here is that if Daryl kills the 2 Terminators, the game is going to be a draw regardless, because there is no troops around apart from the Pox Walkers over here to pick them up. However, obviously if they leave combat, you can only pick it up in the movement phase, so it's not quite going to work. So we're going to see what happens with the number of shots they're going to pile into the Terminators in turn 5 for the Deathguard. Okay, so at the end of turn 5 for the Deathguard, quite an interesting ending turn. Daryl elected to shoot the entropy cannons at the back of the Dreadnought, destroying it, which then left a path for the Lord of Contagion to actually make an assault at the Terminator, which was remaining. That was after the other one obviously got shot previously, so there was only 1 left in the end. It was only on 1 wound, and unfortunately, as anyone who's probably played with Lord of Contagion can understand, that was a fairly easy scalping for him, although it was 1 save away from not happening, which I command pointed. Yeah.
So it's been a really close game.
But basically, the way we've ruled it is because the objective card from the open war deck basically says if you have any move that ends up within 1 inch of the objective, you claim the objective. And it has to be an infantry unit, and obviously Lord of Contagion is an infantry unit, and his consolidation move moved him on to where the objective dropped, so therefore I say that yes, Deathguard picked up in the final turn, and Daryl agrees. Naturally, I mean Daryl would agree.
Yeah, I mean...
Because he plays Deathguard. But no, I think that's fair. And it's
a very obscure word.
Yes. Because obviously we could class it as it has to be in the movement phase, because it says a move, but I think any move means...
That's not your fault.
Yes.
We're torn on it.
Yes, but we're going to go with the Deathguard victory here by the slimmest of margins, and it really was. If you look at what's left on the board, you know, we've got a banged up plate burst score, which I now regret not finishing off, I will admit. Probably should have put the last couple of slugs into him and done him in.
Thing, even though it's hit on fine,
yes.
Got a few shots off still.
Indeed, and also, I mean, I could have possibly left the bike in, but I don't know how much that would have actually helped anyway, because the Pox Walkers were pretty much out of the game after they got ripped apart by the firepower anyway, so they weren't that bad. And over here we've just got a couple of Death Shrouds, the Hell Brute, and some more Pox Walkers over there. You know, my army held up reasonably well towards the end, but I just couldn't deal with the number of drones flying around, really.
You did have some very bad
yes.
rolls as well.
That's right. That is the name of this game. So anyway, Daryl, thank you very much for playing. It's been a pleasure having you around, because it's been such a long time since I've had Daryl around, because we're obviously in the UK here. It was only at the end of the beginning of this week we're currently in playing this game that we were allowed to have people back around our homes. So it was good to have him down. I'm actually having his brother Gavin down next weekend for another game, hopefully. We were supposed to have 2 games today, but unfortunately the vaccine I had this morning seems to be playing havoc on me, so I'm going to have to take a bit of a break after this game. However, that is the end of the game. Daryl, did you have any unit of the match for you?
I think it has to be that Lord of Contagion.
I was going to say...
He took so many heads.
Yes.
And important heads at that in the end.
I mean, the Demon Prince was quite fun sitting on top of that.
Yes,
But ultimately,
I think Lord of Him did better personally. I think he had a good round of fighting. For me, I think I will go with the Vindicator back here because he put a steady amount of damage and it did chip off a fair units, and sometimes with one shot or the one round of shooting, he was taking out high wound units. So that's good for me. From my point of view, I need to probably learn to play the Templars in the way I'm trying to play them a little bit more, but also this list I'm playing now wasn't exactly how I've built it. Obviously, those of you who watched my last video know what I'm aiming for, and I need to make some tweaks. I'm not too sure about the Outriders personally. I think they're a little bit overcosted for what they do, and they didn't really do anything, let's just be honest. Maybe I used them incorrectly. But anyway, doesn't matter. End of the game. Deathguard victory. Thank you all very much for watching as usual. This is Tom from Black Toe Studios, and we'll catch you in the next one.